Shadows over Eldarae. The road to Eldarae stretched before them like a scar across the land. The King's Road, once a proud thoroughfare connecting the great cities of Krindor, was now a crumbling path overrun by weeds and shadowed by ancient trees. The companions walked in silence, their thoughts heavy with the weight of the shard tucked safely in Serene's pack. Kalen led the way, his sword strapped to his back and his eyes scanning the horizon for threats. Theros trudged beside him, his warhammer resting on his shoulder as he muttered dwarven curses under his breath. Lyra danced ahead, her Kender curiosity leading her to pluck strange flowers and poke at abandoned ruins along the roadside. Serene walked quietly, her silver hair glinting in the fading light, while Arendor brought up the rear, his hood pulled low over his face as he whispered incantations to himself. The first sign of trouble came at dusk. Kalen spotted movement in the trees, a flash of silver that disappeared as quickly as it had come. He raised a hand to halt the group. "We're being followed," he said quietly. Theros grunted and tightened his grip on his hammer. "Let them come," he growled. But Kalen shook his head. "Not yet. Let's keep moving." The shadows deepened as they approached Eldarae, and the air grew colder with each step. By the time they reached the outskirts of the ruined city, night had fallen completely, and the only light came from Serene's softly glowing amulet. Eldarae was a graveyard of stone and silence. The once great city had been reduced to rubble during the Gods' War, its towers shattered and its streets overgrown with vines that pulsed faintly with blue light. Statues of long-dead heroes lined the main thoroughfare, their faces twisted in expressions of agony as black tears dripped from their eyes. "This place is cursed," Theros muttered, his voice low. "Cursed or not," Kalen said firmly, "we need answers." The group moved cautiously through the ruins, their footsteps echoing in the empty streets. Lyra darted ahead, her sharp eyes scanning for anything of interest. She stopped suddenly in front of a crumbling archway and pointed excitedly. "Look," she exclaimed, "a hidden passage." Kalen frowned as he approached. Arendor raised his hands and began to chant, his voice low and melodic as he traced patterns in the air with his fingers. The runes flared brightly before fading away completely, leaving the archway dark and silent. The passage beyond led deep into the earth, its walls lined with glowing crystals that cast eerie shadows on the floor. The companions descended cautiously, their weapons drawn as they entered what could only be described as a sanctum, a vast chamber filled with floating scrolls and shattered crystal shelves. Ghostly figures moved among the shelves, scribes dressed in tattered robes whose ink-stained hands hovered over ancient texts that glowed faintly with divine light. "The silver quill," Serene whispered reverently. "They sacrificed their souls to preserve divine knowledge during the Gods' War." One of the scribes turned toward them, its hollow eyes glowing gold as it floated closer. Serene stepped forward hesitantly. "We seek answers," she said softly, holding up her amulet as an offering. The scribe's gaze shifted to her amulet before it spoke in a voice that echoed like distant thunder. "Knowledge comes at a price." Serene swallowed hard before nodding. "What price?" The scribe extended its ink-stained hand toward her and spoke again. "A memory of light." Serene closed her eyes as tears slipped down her cheeks. She reached into herself and offered up her happiest memory, a childhood festival where she had danced beneath moonlight while her mother sang softly nearby. The scribe accepted her offering without hesitation, its hollow eyes glowing brighter as it gestured for them to follow. At the heart of the sanctum lay a mural depicting a great battle, the Dark Queen standing atop a black crystal moon, while 5 heroes wielding shards of light fought against her army of shadows. "The shard we carry is one of 5 keystones," Arendor said grimly as he studied the mural. "Together they form this." He pointed to an image of a crown glowing brightly atop one hero's head, the crown of divinity. Kalen stared at the mural in silence before speaking quietly. "That hero, Looks like me. Before anyone could respond, shadows erupted from every corner of the chamber. Cultists dressed in black robes who wielded jagged daggers that dripped with dark energy. Leading them was Valus the Hollow, a gaunt figure whose body was fused with living shadows that writhed like snakes beneath his skin. "Give me the shard," Valus hissed, his voice like nails scraping against stone. Kalen stepped forward defiantly, his sword gleaming in the dim light. "Over my dead body." The battle was fierce and chaotic. Kalen fought valiantly but was overwhelmed by Valus's unnatural speed and strength. Theros swung his hammer with brutal efficiency, but found himself surrounded by cultists who moved like liquid shadows. Serene raised her hands toward the heavens and called upon divine light to drive back their attackers, while Lyra darted between enemies like quicksilver, her daggers finding gaps in their defenses. But it was Arendor who turned the tide once again, unleashing a spell so powerful that it melted stone and sent Valus retreating into darkness, with the shard clutched tightly in his grasp. When it was over, Lyra was gone, captured by Valus, and Arendor lay unconscious on the floor. Kalen picked up Lyra's abandoned journal and opened it to find one final entry. Arendor isn't who he says. He is working for her. As the survivors regroup, Kalen finds Lyra's journal. Its final entry reads, "Arendor isn't who he says. He's working for her."